Good day, everybody. This is Doug, the Modeling Hermit, coming back at you once again with an update on my build for the under 1,000 group build that Mike over at Model Speedshop is putting on. And we have in front of us the 1968 Ford F-250 custom cab that's also known as a 3/4 ton in my history. And that's from Moebius Models. And we are combining that with the camper unit from the 1965 Chevrolet El Camino from AMT. And so far, what we have done, let's move this out of the way. And we will slide this back over. This is where we are so far. Knocked our little guy off. Forgot I had him over there. Let's put him back over there someplace. So anyway, this is our 1968 Ford F-250. And we have added a spare tire to the front of it, as you can see there. And we have taken the chrome off the front bumper and the grille and just painted those white. And we put on the work bumper for the back and painted it white. We've gone with just the custom trim of the just a white top with everything else being painted the body color. And we've taken the chrome off the side of the truck and just kind of downgraded it from a Ranger to a lower level. Now we have the camper built, and we have added all this material in this area, and we have widened it to make it so that it fits this truck. Let's see if I can do that. So we had to widen it here and on this side. And so that's been the main things we had to do. We had to do a little bit of cutting in this back area. Let me move this over a little bit. Right back in that place there, had cut that some, and I actually added that down when I put the step on the back bumper. I added what I took off there, I put down there. Give some continuity that way. Now, what has happened? Since the last time you saw me, because that's what we were doing the last time, we had that done, we have added some things. To the inside of the camper unit, we have added a cupboard, and with the short and long cupboard in that side there. And on the other side, we've added from one of the, can I get a better light on this? Probably not, I guess. Try that. Okay, I've added a first aid kit from one of the ambulance kits. I remembered that before we can't see it, but we added the bed from the white Freightliner truck kit. We also have the back door in it now. So we have that, and we put a couple lights up in the ceiling of it too. So that's what we did on that. But here's the big news, is that we added in this section right there. Well, first of all, we put a floor in it, and with the tile floor. And then this contains the butane, I can't think what they call that. Anyway, it contains the heating units for the stove, and then also the electrical unit there. And of course, now I'll think of that. And as soon as we're done with this video, I will think what that's, propane. See, I even thought of it before. So anyway, that houses the little propane tank. I've added a little counter here, a little table with a couple benches on either side. And those I've been painted up specifically to look like they're wood. So they were brush painted with just this brush strokes coming up on it to give the impression that it's wood. That was that side there. Now this side contains the refrigerator. The front of that is made from a Coke machine that I reworked to serve as a air conditioning and heating unit for a diorama. And I'd cut this piece off, and I go, that's perfect for a little mini fridge in there. So that went in there. This sink is just, now all this seating and such here and the other areas that I've shown you so far, and this little cupboard here, those are all just plastruct sheet pieces there. Actually, so is the top on this. I can't remember where the little sink came from. It was just in my parts box from someplace, along with the equipment up here to the faucet and the control for it there, handle. So anyway, so those are just made from the parts box kits. This is another plastruct sheets to make the stove and oven unit. The oven face is just another sheet of plastic painted gloss black. The fun came in making the stovetop burners. Those are actually from the early 60s. Many of the annuals and some of the AMT 3-in-1s would have this reel-to-reel player in them that most people just glued on a seat someplace or another. Well, I took and cut that down so that all I had was just the top of it there and reworked that to make that look like it's the stove, burners on the stove and a couple handles for that. So that's what happened with that. That is, it really kind of goes through quickly, but that was a lot of work and a lot of hours that went into building all that. But now we have the interior for our camper unit. And I encourage Moebius, if any of you guys from Moebius are watching, think about making some camper units for your pickup trucks. Really seriously think about it, because this, like I said, it came out nice. It's, the conversion came out nice for me here. But it sure would be nice to have something that was already built and designed for these trucks. And you got such a good series of them. These Moebius trucks are just wonderful trucks to build. So, with that in mind, let's see. We've encouraged Moebius to make a camper unit for their pickup trucks. And we've talked about how we made all this stuff. And we've talked about the spare tire on the front. And I guess that's just about all we've got to talk about. So now I did leave on the backs of the sinks and stove, I left those open because they're going to be covered by the camper unit. I'm leaving that off so that you can see what we got there. One other thing that I did change is I used, these are mirrors from the Moebius kit, but I put on the what we called Western Coaster mirrors for it. That was another change in the truck. So, without further ado, this is the Modeling Hermit, and I am, you know what? No, I've got something I want to talk about just real quickly here. Another project I've got coming up before too long. We also, before we go too far, let's talk about what the end result of this part is. We have the boat and trailer that's going to go with this. And I'll be building the inboard runabout. This is the AMT's 3-in-1 customizing boat kit. And like I said, from AMT. And I'll be building the inboard runabout. These are based off the Chris Craft boats from about 1940. Then they went through about 1960 without a whole lot of change on some of them there. And we will be building that in the mahogany colors that were real popular back then for those boats. They're beautiful boats, and they're super expensive now to try and find one of those old boats. So we will be adding that to this as we go along. Now, a future project I have, we're going to talk about a future project, is we're going to get into, this box is so big I can't get into the whole picture. This is the Surfshark 1959 Cadillac ambulance, and they've got a stock version of this ambulance out now. But I will be doing things to this thing that are, shall we say, out of this world. And I mean, when I say out of this world, I mean, I'm going to be taking this ambulance out of this world. Enough said about that, but just be watching for that in future episodes. that yes, we will be doing very strange and exotic things to this poor ambulance. So things that I don't know that anybody's ever thought to try and do the poor Cadillac ambulance. So anyway, without further ado, again, this is the Modeling Hermit, and I am off the air and gone.